Let's see if Qs can break underneath this 564. Can you guys hear me on Discord? I should be able to hear me on Discord. All right, so with the Qs at the low of the range here, the only ticker that I'm somewhat interested is Tesla. This one, your risk would be this kind of 307. It does seem like now it's starting to show a little bit more weakness back underneath this 306 level. It's trading view, no loading. Q's dropping here as well. Now underneath this 560, 564. And see if Tesla, like Tesla's not, it's the higher time frame looks good on Tesla. Intraday price action. It's just kind of inside of this range. You basically just have to trust the higher time frames, 307, and maintain this one on the 5-minute time frame. But so far you can see now, SPY and Qs. SPY actually broke back underneath this 564. Qs breaking underneath this 564 here. As for Tesla, you'd just like to see it maintain underneath this 305. That's going to be key. Yeah, so with Qs now, key level, it's already back down at this 563. Yeah, Qs now breaking underneath kind of this 564. It finally broke outside kind of this 15-minute range. We'll see if there's potential more continuation lower. Only ticker I'm interested in for some downside is primarily Tesla, but this one definitely not momentum. It would just be based off of the 5-minute time frame. Qs, a little bit of bounce here, AMD at this 159. I'm also likely going to hold off on Tesla unless we can get like a super solid low risk on the 5-minute time frame. And this one does look good if it can stay heavy and maintain underneath 305. As for the rest of the tickers, NVIDIA back down in towards your previous day highs. Not too much momentum, as you can see, really kind of this week. The momentum for sure has definitely slowed down, at least on the tech side, right? The SPY and Qs has been continuing higher, but a lot of these tech names haven't had as much continuation or haven't had as much relative strength compared to the SPY and Qs. Whenever we like to see a bullish market, we want to see essentially the tech names lead towards upside, either through the semiconductors or the other names. Whenever the market is leading itself, like the SPY and Qs, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult, just because when the SPY and Qs are leading instead of the tech names, that usually means things are slowing down. All right, QQQ is showing a little bit more weakness now underneath this 564. As I mentioned, there's not really that much range towards the downside here on the Qs. As for Tesla, kind of coming back up and towards this 305, that's the exact level you'd like to see hold on the higher time frames. As for SPY, this one's just right back down in towards low of day, which is also your previous day highs here as well. Yeah, it's a lot more range. SPY just coming back down towards your previous day lows here. Qs, similar kind of thing, 563. Right, we broke underneath the range, came right back down in towards that 563, and then we're just right back higher. As for Tesla, it's not that appealing on the 1-minute time frame. Higher time frame is decent, but not really A plus here with the SPY and Qs not choosing a direction. As for NVIDIA, bouncing off your previous day highs. Let's see what else is there. AMD, similar thing, pulling back down towards your previous day highs here as well. Yeah, as I'm waiting here, do you guys have any questions? Doesn't seem like anything's going to set up that's super, super high probability here, just with kind of the SPY and Qs. I'm looking for some setups, but it does seem like everything's kind of slowing down here with the overall markets. We had Tesla and Google earnings yesterday. Tesla gap down like 8%. This one hasn't broken outside of its 5 minute range. For Google, pushed up and towards that like 199, but immediately just filled the gap towards the downside since it wasn't that bullish. Key levels for us was that 199.39. Day one kind of reversal on earnings. And it actually bounced right off that 192. What about AMD? This AMD breaking resistance would be still valid. It would be low risk. The one thing about AMD was the key level was already hit. So the key level that we had marked out was the 162. So that's why I wasn't as interested in that first pullback after it hit our main objective, is because it already took out this level right here. If it retested beforehand, that would have been awesome. But it already hit one of our main objectives, 162. So it was a little bit less high probability. As you can see, that looked really good on the lower time frames, but you can see how that higher time frame context worked. Right? This retest right here was nice. But you can see it ultimately never hit high of day, even though you had the kind of a really strong candle here. You had some buyers that kind of stepped in, but it just wasn't able to get above the 162. So I mentioned you either had two scenarios, either that low risk, which would have been right for a push up and towards high day. Maybe if you scaled some up here, it would have been fine. But in this case, what I was primarily looking for was the break back above your 162. So it would have been above high day, above that Monday's highs. But you can see ultimately rejected. If you zoom out now, you can see kind of these like upper wicks on the 5 minute, and now it's just pushing back lower. Missed Amazon. Yeah, Amazon. This one's been definitely trickier. This is the first day it's moved. I'm not sure if there was news today here on Amazon, but the past few months been very choppy and on Amazon. This is like the first day that we've had a higher time frame breakout, and we've actually had some continuations. So Tesla, 5 minutes still looks good. Just the 1 minute just looks. It doesn't really look like anything here on the 1 minute time frame. 1 minute time frame doesn't really look like too much. 5 minute time frame still kind of building these lower highs. It's just a lot harder to capture just because we're inside the 5 minute range. We're inside kind of its 5 minutes lows and 5 minute high, 5 minute low. These ones are harder to time. That's why you'd have to give it a little bit more room, just because if you're looking for an entry with continuation down right away, it's just going to be very difficult just because we're consolidating. But the higher time frame still looks decent if you can now hold underneath this 306, at least on the 5 minute. Bezos talking with Trump. Yeah, Bezos has been selling for a while now. Amazon, not as much interested in continuation. You can see, especially this week, a lot less continuation on a lot of these setups. Almost every trade I've taken has no continuation, and it just even like super nice intraday confirmations with relative strength. Those ones, whenever you have those trades not even hitting high day, that's usually a good sign that the market is definitely slowing down. Right, majority of the times, even if you do have a super solid setup, you wait for confirmation. You usually have at least high day and maybe a little bit more continuation. But when some of these setups don't even hit high day, or maybe they hit high day and just come back down, that's usually a sign of, right? The way to gauge momentum is when you have continuation above high day. But if you don't have continuation, usually it's most likely just going to be chop. Why'd you want to take? I was interested, but like when I say sometimes I'm interested, I'm just looking at the setup in itself. The higher time frame is always going to be key. It's just an intraday setup where, okay, maybe if Amazon can hold above key levels, right, this one does have relative strength. It already was overextended. So as you can see, this one immediately just came right back as the Q showed weakness. Yeah, most of these trades are inside the range, so there's not too much. There's not too much what we're looking at. Yeah, trade indexes, yeah, fairly choppy. How's Dubai? The weather's horrible. The weather's really hot out. I actually wish I was at home. I had like an allergic reaction yesterday, which sucks, but let's see. Unless you just trade the breakup, there weren't any trades and indexes unless you gotta trade the yeah. There's not really too much. You see, for something like Tesla, right, it's not a setup we take, right? This would be it's more based off of, right, higher time frame context. Because I wouldn't really consider this like a trade we normally take. It's within its 5 minute range here, as you can see between this high and low. The only reason I'm somewhat interested in this is because it has earnings today. And this would just be, okay, maybe it had bad earnings or underneath key levels, market stay heavy, potentially is going to continue lower later into the day, just based off the earnings that we do have. If we're strictly speaking of technicals, this for me is just right in the middle of the range. Yes, capital, quick question. I mean, there's a heat wave of American pictures. Yeah, no, this is like the desert. Let's see. Palantir. Yeah, so for something like Palantir, the key level in this case, right, we have room up in towards your all-time highs, but now most likely you'd just be looking for the break above your previous day highs. Because it could very much well kind of reject off this previous day highs and just come right back towards the downside. You could be looking for the anticipation, or you'd just be waiting for the break above, hold for this push up and towards your all-time highs. But yeah, Palantir is showing a little bit of strength here compared to the rest of the names here. Yeah, definitely not. It would be it would be a day trade. You're definitely not swing just because it had a big drop yesterday. This one would have to work out on day number one. Brutal in the summertime. Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, no, it's pretty bad. Let's see, volume induced drop in price. I think a bounce. Yeah, it's the previous day has this key level. Something similar to yesterday. It was just based off the 5 minute time frame. You can see a lot of these now we just have to look for higher time frame setups. Something like AMD even yesterday was a nice hold, right? The thesis was correct above your previous day highs. Look at just how long you have to kind of hold it. You just have to expand your time horizon. In this case, you can see just holding above that 156. Didn't even actually move intraday, but then you end up having this nice move in the after hours and then even this morning. So a lot of these setups now, you can see momentum, at least on the 1 minute time frame, slow down. So we just have to maintain, right? We can enter on the 1 minute, but we'd have to maintain or have a risk on the 5 minute on a lot of these charts. Amazon, AMD double bottom. No, AMD, yeah, it's like higher time frame. That's your key level they have for AMD. But these bounces, unless you're looking for high day, it's going to be hard. You can scalp them, but they're just not going to be as high probability because you just be kind of scalping the range, right? It's low risk, but it's very unlikely that it's going to hit high of day today. So if maybe you're scalping it for 1 to 2 points, then sure. But at least on the higher time frames, you'd be at least for momentum. Sorry, you these ones are just you're playing more bounces than actually continuations. Managing risk, do we wait for candle close? Yeah, it's the candle close. Is there some sort of sector rotation going on? Right now, it's just we're at all-time highs. Markets are slowly going to push higher. The volume, as you can see, it's bullish because if we're rising on lower volume, yes, that is very bullish. But now we're already at all-time highs, so a lot of these ones kind of slowing down just with continuation. And then basically what happens is when we're at all-time highs, and your name's also at all-time highs as well, what usually happens is anything that's not at all-time highs, they try and bring it higher, right? So names like, let's say, Google or Amazon, a lot of names haven't hit all-time highs. So technically, like a risk to reward ratio standpoint, those are the names more people are now going to try and focus on, just because, at least from a value standpoint, it makes sense. Because if you're already at all-time highs, you're not going to buy at all-time highs. You buy something that's risk reward makes sense. You probably have room towards highs. But when you're day trading, right, you would have to get a lot of relative strength on these names, because we're basically playing sympathies. So we're not playing the leaders anymore, because now we're playing the name that's lagging overall markets. Barcode kind of day, yes. Do you guys have a day? Yeah, you should see that. I think Tony has one in the announcements channel. Yeah, Palantir is just back at your previous day highs. You like to see it get above that for continuation. Yeah, open now intraday bullish after kind of a big drought that we had. Just kind of mean reversion. Okay, let's see. SPY kind of just bouncing off low day back inside the middle of the range. Overall, SPY is still bullish, but this is not something like at least day trading you'd be really, really interested in. Yeah, with the SPY and Qs just kind of consolidating now. I'm not too interested in anything really, at least on the 1 minute time frame momentum. Higher time frames, a lot of these ones kind of slowing down here as well. Let's see if you guys have any more questions. We'll look through some charts here, trying to see if there's anything that like. Amazon 1001. Yeah, this would just have to work out. It's just one of those trades where if you're looking at a break and retest, there's not really too much displacement. It would just be purely based off relative strength. Obviously, if you're looking back on it, this is your best one right off the bat. This one, it's just immediate cut. Right? If you enter, immediate kind of stop because it just didn't work out. You know, this would be on a feeler position. Right? This, if you're trading up here, you got to be on smaller size. NBA trying to see like Geffo. What do you think about the AMD? Yeah, AMD at 950. As I mentioned, I like this one. It's just you can see the overall the objective was already hit, right? It did have relative strength, nice kind of hit camera candle. I like this one, but you just have to understand the context wise. You kind of already hit your main objective, so it's just a break even trade, right? If it breaks above, awesome, and if it doesn't, you just cut your position for either very small green, very small red, or just break even. If you buy here, right, price pushes higher, right, your risk has to be down here, right? You're not buying up here. This doesn't make sense. You would have to buy. If you're going to buy, you buy down here. You have very minimal risk. It has to work right away. If it works right away, then you're able to get a continuation and get that low risk entry. If it doesn't work in this case, then you just cut your position, and it's just going to be very small, right? Very small. As I mentioned, very small green, depending on where you entered, break even, or maybe small red. How far will the NQ correct since it's so high now? Yeah, eventually it will have a pullback. That's basically what a lot of traders are waiting for now. Momentum's starting to slow down. Overall higher time frame is still very much bullish, so everyone's trying to anticipate this correction, which I do feel like we are fairly overextended, but until we're able to break structure on the higher time frames, either have some sort of major news event, right, we're just going to continue to look for kind of these major dips for continuation higher. But you can definitely even see these dips. We're just going to have to look at the 5-minute chart and give it a little bit more room now instead of being a little bit more aggressive on the 1-minute time frame. Is this phase of accumulation right? No, it's more just everyone's taking profits. Like we're at all-time highs. You can see the VIX. If we look at the VIX in itself, right? Whenever we're day trading, we always talk about this. We need the VIX to be volatile. The VIX is at 14, right? It's at the lowest point in a very long time. So that means just the volatility is not really there on the day trades. What does this mean though? It's right long term is doing really good. So that's why, at least currently, if you have any long term positions, right, your portfolio or whatever is going to be back at all time highs. Especially if you bought that dip earlier in April, right, you would have been up nicely on the long term. At least for day trading now, with the VIX being very low, it's going to be very hard until we get that volatility to pick back up. So we're just going to have to be on the higher time frames. What do you think yeah, we'll see what shapes up overall this week. There just hasn't been too much momentum. There has been some kind of later onto the day trades, either 5-minute setups or you had some news later into the day. But at least momentum wise on the lower time frames, there wasn't really too much. So you're saying that setup itself? No, I don't like. It's just based off relative strength. The setup in itself is not really that good. It would just be primarily based off relative strength. So the setup in itself, it doesn't make too much sense because you're kind of far away from your previous day highs, right? That would have been your best, or maybe your Tuesday's highs. These are the lowest risk entries, or even your 5-minute range. This one, you already had such a big move. It would just primarily be based off of relative strength. It would have to work just based off of, right, this trade, where you can see already how overextended this is. It would just have to work right away and just be purely a skill. For some reason, I can't see the video from yesterday. You can go into the Zoom. Discord is actually banned in the AUE, and there's some problems. So Zoom's always fine. I feel like Tony called it a half an hour ago when he felt time back. We should head back home next the process. So hopefully we should be back on Monday, or we should be back next week unless everything gets delayed, which would be very unfortunate. Idea of buying and just holding till close end of day. You're just gonna be hard, as I mentioned. It's gonna be hard to time Tesla. The key level is just gonna be that 305. So 306 at least on the higher time frames, and you'd like to see this one drop at least before. Preferably, you'd like to drop before end of day because it's day number 1. and preferably you like to see it hold at 306. Preserve my capital quality. Yeah, that's what's important because a lot of people will happen. You can see the kind of the difference between a couple weeks ago when we're trading up and towards time highs, right? That's when we had really nice opportunities in the market. Is when we had that push up and towards that all time highs. Now with the markets at all time highs, you can definitely see the day trades are slowing down. So if you're looking for the same continuation on a lot of these setups, it's just not as much there. So you just have to kind of recognize that and either right size down or either give it more room on the 5 minute time frame. And the most important is just kind of preserving capital, waiting for that next big opportunity, which is going to be when that VIX. So as soon as that VIX spikes, that's when we know we're going to have more volatility in the markets. Appreciate it. Palantir seems like it's like a lot of these setups now are just going to be just lower probability just based off the continuation. So even if you do have a lot of things setting up very nicely, like 1 minute confirmations, you have relative strength. Even these ones on the lower time frames can not have continuation just because of the overall higher time frame context. So most of my long-term holds are losing their handy. Yeah, the long-terms is important because it goes hand in hand. We kind of talk about that is because usually it goes in tandem, right? It's just based off the VIX. So if the VIX is high, that usually means the long-terms aren't doing good, but then you have a lot of opportunity from the day trading side. And then when the VIX kind of dries up, right, or the VIX heads lower, that usually means, right, long-terms are at all-time highs. And then the day trades, there's not as much volatility. What's a good number for the VIX in order to day? Anything above like 20 is like very volatile, but anything like 16, 20 is like fairly normal. If you're above anywhere between 20, that's very volatile. If you're looking for long terms, like if when the VIX is at 30, that's deploying a lot of your capital. Pattern day trade roll indicator. Yeah, you would have to switch to at least if you're the pattern day trade rule, we don't have that in Canada, but for everyone else, I think you have to switch to a cash account, and then I'm sure someone can answer that one. What's the purpose of the square? That's the daily gap. So if you watch that video, it's the daily gap, and it just tells you the gap that we have from its previous day close to today's open. Using the desktop. Yeah, TradingView sometimes bugs. Like TradingView, I wouldn't say there's a delay. There might be a very, very marginal, a very small delay. But TradingView, usually if you have the right data subscriptions, TradingView is fairly good. I'm not sure if sometimes it lags, which is unfortunate when I'm drawing tools. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Sometimes it bugs every once in a while. But you'll always have those issues sometimes either with brokers or some chart platforms. VIX is 68%. Yeah, so whenever the VIX is like at those numbers, like where we were earlier April, like very good time. It's basically just a fear and greed index. So whenever everyone's fearful, right, that's when you want to be buying. Yeah, I'm most likely going to call it a day here as well with now just kind of the keys consolidation. I don't see anything that I'm somewhat interested in, at least on the lower time frames. Maybe if something sets up here in the higher time frames, it'd just be more of a longer term trade, even potentially, it'd be based off the 5 minute, at least minimum on the potential 15 minute. Let's see. Yeah, hopefully we get everything set up and then we'll be back to normal next week. Made two trades in less than 600. How do you rest the mind? That's a good. There's a bunch of ways to do it. You just have to learn. So number one, what a lot of people do is just step away from the screens, but you basically just have to learn from your losses, or it's not going to matter, right? You have to feel those emotions, journal what you're feeling. Like, why were you feeling that way? Where was the money that you lost? Were you willing to risk that, or was that something you weren't comfortable with? Right. So there's a lot of different questions you have to ask yourself. But the number one is like kind of journaling your emotions and how you're feeling during that moment. I was hoping the 84 on AMD. Yeah, that one. See, it's low risk. So this one would be a 5 minute. Now you most likely opt in for like a low risk more than like an 84% roll in the 1 minute time frame. The 84% roll works the best on the 1 minute time frame, right? It does work on the 5 minute time frame as well, but you just have to be right on the 5 minute chart. I don't like the fact you cannot move the stop loss on the chart. Move the stop loss on the chart. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. I recommend everyone. Yeah, Mark Douglas is a good one as well. All right, yeah, I'm gonna call it a day here. Tony actually just dropped an interview, which is good. The Chart Fanatic, so I'm probably gonna end up watching that. That one should be really good. But yeah, I'm gonna call it a day here. We'll see if anything kind of sets up, maybe even later into the day. I'll see if I do see anything. I will let you guys know, and then I will see you guys all tomorrow. All right, take care, everyone.
Okay. So, what'd you think, Irma? Any thoughts? Irma, can you hear me? Okay, yeah. So feel free to drop any questions that you might have in the live chat, and if I can't answer them for you, I can forward it to the to him or Tony and get them to answer those questions. So yeah, definitely. That's where I began, just listening, watching, and because you'll notice that they repeat the same explanation over and over and over again. So you'll definitely begin to get the hang of it soon. Soon. Okay, yeah. If there's anything I can help with, I'll be happy to explain anything or step through, um, my point of view or understanding of what they've taught. So if you have a specific questions or any specific questions about the candles, I can go over that now, if you like, if you have time, or um, whenever you're ready. Okay, cool. Yeah. So tell me what. Okay, cool. Yeah. So tell me what. Where do you want to start? What part didn't you grasp? And I can. Let me do this. I don't understand the candle concept of the wick, of the hammer, etc. Okay, cool. Yeah, let me pull this up here. Give me 1 second. And let me go to my Okay, so let's see. Bullish candles. Let me navigate this for you. All right, so yeah, and I can pull up the chart as well, NVIDIA also, because we could take a look at how the candles develop in real time too. But I can start with this explanation. So when you have a wick on the candle, because you can have a wick obviously in either direction, on the top of the candle, on the bottom, or just on the bottom, or just on the top. But what do they represent? Remember, to simplify these concepts, just keep price in mind. Just keep price in mind, okay? The market is just a continuous auction where price is moving in either two directions, right? It only moves in two directions, up or down. And every candle represents that activity. The price is moving up, price is moving down. And this is the same, or this is true for every candle. And feel free to, interrupt or jump in and let me know if I need to re-explain something. But you just have two directions for price, up or down, and every candle represents that activity. Okay. And so next, when a candle begins to form, and remember, I talked about this yesterday. You have the different time frames for the chart. You have the 1 minute and so on, 5 minute, 15, and so on, right? And every candle, okay, cool. You said good so far. Yeah, definitely. I like to simplify everything as best I can. So yeah. So when you have whatever time frame you're on, so whether it's the 1 minute, 5 minute, 15, or so on, every single candle that's formed on that time frame is specific to that time frame. So if we're on the 1 minute chart, obviously every candle is a duration of 60 seconds. Okay, 60 seconds. So let's assume that we're on the 1 minute chart for this example, and this is a 60-second, aka 1 minute candle. Well, what happened soon as the candle opened? This is second number 60, and then the clock begins to tick down or count down, right? And within this time frame, again, remember, price is only going in two directions, up or down. And there's this constant battle between the buyers and sellers. Buyers are trying to push the price up. Sellers want to push the price down. And that's what these wicks represent. At some point, sellers did win. They were able to push the price down from the actual open here. All right, so this particular candle opened at this point, and at some point within the 60 seconds, sellers did win a little bit, and they pushed the stock price down. And wherever the wick ends, that's how far the sellers pushed the price down. When you see the wick here at the top of the candle, that's the same thing, but in reverse, right? Sellers are trying to push the price down. Buyers are trying to push the price up. So at some point, buyers stepped in aggressively in this 60-second candle and was able to push the price up. And what ended up happening is that sellers fought at some point. They began to fight back. And what you see represented here is this close level. Remember, we opened at, this is where the candle opened at 60 seconds, at second number 60, and the ticker or the clock starts ticking down from that point. And within that 60 seconds, we had this up and down activity between buyers and sellers. And once buyers pushed the price up to this point, sellers stepped in aggressively and began to push the price back down. And by the time second number 1 or 0 occurred, this is where the candle closed. That's what that represents. So we opened here, second number 60, 59, 58, as the countdown is occurring. Sellers and buyers are fighting back and forth, and that's what's represented here. That activity is represented here. So you can see The color shows you who actually won. The color shows you who actually won. So if it's green, the buyers won. If it's red, the sellers won. Let's see. Simple explanation is good. How can you tell the sellers won? Yep. I started to answer your question already, right? So that's how you know who won the war, right? Between buyers and sellers is the color of the candle. So if it's green, buyers won. If it's red, the sellers won. So is that dictated by the length of the wick or the candles? Yeah, so you can see buyers were winning at this point, but really it's more of a visual aid to help you see that at some point buyers did win a little bit more than what you see here, but eventually sellers pushed back and pushed that price a little bit lower. And you can see sellers did win at some point. So this candle, although it started here, it turned red within this zone. So it was red while it was dropping towards the low point of this candle. So at some point sellers were winning, and this candle was not green, it was red when this happened. But once price began to push up and reclaim where it opened and start to push up higher, then the color changes from red to green, pushes all the way up, and it remains green for as long as it doesn't drop below where it opened, the point of where it opened. Okay, so it'll remain green until that happens. Once it drops below where it opened, then it turns colors to red, right? But for as long as it stays above, price stays above. Remember, we're talking about price. So as long as price stays above this level where we open, it will remain green. But the color transition is not visible, correct? Yeah, it will be on the live chart. I'll show you that on the live chart as well. I'll show you that. Let's see, is that it? Yep, so if that makes sense, I can switch over to the live chart so we can see how those candles look in real time. So I can pull up. Makes sense? Okay, cool, yeah, got it. All right, so let me pull up TradingView in this. Products, and you said you're on NVIDIA, so I'll just go ahead and switch to NVIDIA, and let me switch to the 1 minute time frame, and I'll zoom in. Let me close this and zoom in so you can see that. So you can see these candles. I'm going to turn off my indicators for a minute so they don't get in the way. Okay. All right, cool. You're there too? Yep. Yeah, me too. I'm very visual. I'm a visual learner, so I definitely need the visual aids. Okay, so now what you can see here, I'm going to pivot this for just a second. You should be able to see the second clock tick down, and we just started a new candle. So now we're counting down from 60 seconds, as I pointed out, to your far right of the current candle. All right, you can see that it started green. You saw that it was green for a brief second, but price began to fall. Right, and now you can see you see that now it's switching to green because buyers are constantly fighting with sellers. Buyers are trying to push the price up, sellers are trying to push the price down, and you can see this wick here. Hopefully you can see it. Let me stretch this out a little bit more, pull this down. So you can see we did change colors. Obviously your color might be red. I changed my color to purple for the down close candles. The purple on my chart represents sellers. The green obviously stays the same, and they represent buyers. Let's see. You can see, yep, exactly. So now that we have that new candle, you see it just formed and it's green. but it looks like sellers are trying to push a little bit. But as long as we don't drop below where we opened, we'll continue green. If we drop below that point, then we'll change colors to purple. Yeah, so this is so hopefully that simplified the activity of the candles. And so just keep that in mind. I think that's the best way to grasp or comprehend what's happening or what you're observing as you see these candles forming on the different time frames. Got it? Woohoo! When is the best time to buy or sell? Good question. And those will, to sell depends on your predetermined goals. I talked about this yesterday in the live. You have to set your goals. All right. You need to have a target for when a profit target, and you also need to have a stop target in mind. So I appreciate that. Appreciate the vote of confidence. Yeah. You have to have a predetermined goal, right? For when your profit target and for your stop. All right. So I talked about this yesterday. My predetermined profit target is 3 to 7%, 3 to 7%. And my stop loss goal is slightly below that. It's 1 to 4%. So you want that to be a little less than what your profit target is. How did I come up with these numbers? Well, it's simple. I use what your typical financial institution offers. This would be your bank, wherever you bank. You can go to their website or you can call up customer care and ask them, hey, what is the typical rate of return you offer for your financial products like your checking, your savings, high yield savings, CDs, and so forth? And they'll let you know, and they'll say, oh, it's 2% annually or compounded. They'll let you know what those are. And then you want to choose a number that's either double or just greater than whatever they're offering. So I like to, to set my target between 3 to 7%. As I mentioned yesterday in my live session, you're more than likely going to reach more than that, but that is the target. So if you get more than that, great. But you definitely want to exit or be prepared to exit as soon as you reach near that predetermined target. And then for the stop, same thing. So you're only going to get out of your position for two reasons. There's only two reasons to get out. Either you reached your profit target or you got stopped out, meaning the trade begins to work against you. Whatever position you took, you can only take two positions. Either you want price to go up or you want price to go down. So whatever position you took, if the trade begins to work against you, reaches your stop limit, you want to exit the position. So that answers that question. When do you get in? So we talked about that yesterday as well. So I can send you the live replay, but let me go over that quickly. Now, for simplicity's sake, you don't have to understand this part, but just keep this part in mind, this part of the explanation in mind. You need to have key levels. Okay, you need to have key levels. You need to have a high and a low. All right. Now, the strategy that I use is called the breakout and retest strategy. So once you have your key levels drawn out, and you can see I have that represented here. Let me activate my drawing tool to point this out as I explain. So you have this line here. This is the low point. This line here, this is the high point. What we want for the breakout and retest strategy, this is to answer your question, when do you enter in a trade? Well, we're looking for the proper setup. So we want the price or these candles to break above one of these levels, right? So either this level, break above it, or break below it for the lowest point of the key level, right? So you either want it to break above or break below. Obviously, right now for NVIDIA, we're breaking above this key level. And then what will we be looking for? What will we be looking for? Let me pull this down a little bit so we can have a little bit more real estate. And let me activate this again. So now that we're climbing up and we're breaking above the this key level, what we're looking for is continuation, all right, for some amount of time. Each candle obviously is 60 seconds. So it could take, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, wherever we end up is fine. So let's say we end up here. Price ends up here. And then what do we want? The strategy is called a breakout and then retest. So we want the breakout above that level and then the retest to fall back down to that level. And I'm going to draw this just to illustrate. So once we break out, right, then we want to pull back, which is AKA a retest, slowly back to this level. Okay, it doesn't have to touch it, just needs to come near it. All right. And this, now we're getting to when will we enter in, okay, within the breakout and retest method. Well, we're looking for buyers to step in aggressively. So we're looking for candles like this one, or like this one, or like this one, or like this one, okay, or like this one with the wick at the bottom. If buyers hold this key level and don't let price drop below it, then what we're looking for is for a sign or confirmation that buyers are, like I said, that green bullish candle. So this candle, or this candle, we'll see that bullish green candle. Let me clean up the chart again. We'll see that green bullish candle like so. So when we see that, we enter our position at this point. And where do we look to exit? Remember, we have our predetermined goal set. So as soon as we reach our predetermined profit target goal, which is 3 to 7% in this example, or high of day. So that's when we look to get in, and that's when we look to exit. You set those levels? Yes. You set the levels, and they're really easy to set because you just look left of the stock of interest, whatever that stock may be. I'm primarily interested in Tesla. Whatever stock you're interested in, you just open up the stock on TradingView, switch to any time frame, and just start working your way up to the higher time frames. I like to start at the 15-minute, for example, and I can just demonstrate that since we're both visual learners. Let me go ahead and just demonstrate that. Oops, let me switch to the 15-minute. Let me get rid of these drawings on NVIDIA. Start over, switch to the 15-minute. Let me shrink this so we can see everything within the window here. Okay, so what I mean by looking left is you can see we are repeating the pattern. We're looking for old highs, old lows, and that's what we'll draw out. That's what we'll mark. We'll mark the high point and we'll mark the low point, the same as I demonstrated here. We have a high point marked out, and then the low point marked out, and we just look left. Currently, you can see where we are in relationship to where we were in the past when we look left. These are the points that you can look to begin to add. Since we're breaking above slightly at this level, let's draw the line here just to represent that. Let's draw this line on the drawing tool. Oh, that was terrible. That was terrible. Okay, so here. So we have this line, and you can see it correlates with the top of when we look left. We can see it correlates with these. Boom, here, here, and here, as well as here. So now we're looking to see, will our buyers going to be able to push this stock higher? And will we reach these higher points that we reached before in the past? And so you could draw out those levels. You can see this high correlates with this one. So you would just simply draw this line here. This would be Wednesday's highs. This is Wednesday's highs. And so you could draw out Tuesday's highs. We draw out another level looking left. And then this is Monday's highs. So at any point, you can look to jump out of your trade or scale out as you begin to reach those levels. Can you view multiple? Sorry. How do you find the support and resistance? Good question. So the support and resistance is based on where the stock is currently, and if I switch back to the 1 minute chart, you can see more easily. Let me get rid of these lines so it's not cluttered, and the explanation will be much clearer. All right, so if we look at this time frame at the beginning, this is the pre-market, and we box in the activity that we see here, right? We draw out the high or the low, and then we draw out the high point, right? As you can see, from the pre-market zone or time frame, we didn't move as much once the market opened. If we draw out the high point, and I'm going to draw that out just to illustrate, and these lines won't be perfect, but here we box in the lowest point and the highest point of the pre-market. And so now we're waiting for the reaction off of these levels. Okay, are buyers going to push the price above this high point, or are sellers going to push the price below this low point? And so to your question, what is support and what is resistance? This level will become support if buyers hold this key level and don't let price fall too far below it. Okay, then this level would serve as support. The top level would serve as resistance, simply meaning that there's a lot of sellers here, and they don't want to let the price break too far above this point. And so you can see, if you zoom in just a little bit, you can see that sellers are pushing, that there is a reaction. So sellers are pushing the price lower from that point. So that's how you can spot resistance and support. Let's see. Can you view multiple tickers at one time? Yeah, absolutely. Now for the free version of TradingView, let me get rid of these drawings just to reset the chart. Okay, cool. To do that, Irma, I know you're in TradingView currently. So to do that, all you do is click on this layout setup button here. And if you forget these steps, I have a tool called Scribe that lets me, it records my screen and it'll show a screenshot of every button that I click on. So everywhere I click, it'll highlight where I clicked. So I can, provide you with those steps. Anyone that's listening, if you need steps, I can help you navigate through these applications very easily so you won't forget and you'll have it for future reference. All right. So yeah, you can add multiple tickers. You just click on the layout button here and you can see you have a ton of options. But for the free version, it may only give you 2 or 3 layout types, right? So you'll have to, I don't remember what it is. I'm paying for the plus or premium version. So I can have any number of tickers displayed on my chart. So here I have NVIDIA and you can switch. All you do is click. Oh, sorry, you guys can't see that. Let me switch views. Okay, so I have 4 panes, 4 windows, 4 panes or 4 windows. Let me switch views. Okay, so I have 4 panes, 4 windows, 4 panes or 4 windows. And I can highlight whichever pane or window and then switch it by selecting the ticker in the right hand. Sorry. I can switch, like for example, I could switch the ticker from AMD to QQQ by simply clicking the ticker name in the watch list. Now this is a watch list, so you will have to add your watch list. That's this button here. That's this button here. And then you can also divide them, so you can organize them like I did. You can create sections, and then you can fold these sections as well. So if you need me to walk you through that, I can do that also. But it's pretty cool because these are the indices or ETFs, and so you could minimize those. And you can put one, like if you're in a long-term position, these are your current holdings. You can label a section for holdings as well. How do you find, answered that one. Can you view multiple tickers? Yep, I answered that one. This guy's very good. Thank you, Irma. I appreciate that. Great explanation. Awesome. Can you trade solely based off the support and resistance? Yeah, that's kind of what the breakout, and that's essentially what the breakout and retest strategy is. And there's different variations to the breakout and retest. I love it because it's so simple, right? In the concept. And so, yeah, you can trade solely based off of that, and you can have your target in mind, your profit target in mind, and then have your stop loss in mind. And you'll see later there's other variables that you can also use as confirmation to gauge whether you want to enter your position or not. Let's see. Got it. Thank you so much. What's your risk ratio? So my risk ratio is 1 to 2. So for every dollar I risk, I want to make $2, right? So if I risk $100, then I want to make $200. So that's my risk ratio, risk reward ratio, R&R. And if I show you, this is why it's good to keep track of your to journal your activity, right? So I'm using a free journal. It's called Stonk Journal, stonkjournal.com. And so it's good to journal your entries, what you did, how you were feeling, were you feeling confident, and so on. But let me show you to your question about the risk reward ratio. If I switch over to the stats view, and you can see my profit factor. My profit factor, if I select, so overall it's low, right? It's just below 2, right? So I'm slightly below that overall. So I've been making adjustments as I go. So if I select just last month, for example, my profit factor was 1.63. If I select this month alone, you can see I'm really doing my thing, right? 2.43. So yeah, keep track of your journal entries. That way you can reflect, look back, and make sure you're on the right path. That's very, very, very important to make sure. You don't want to be thinking you're on the right path. You want to know that you're on the right path. So this month alone, I love that you can filter so you can see exactly what you did this month. So 3.8K just this month alone. And then overall, obviously, last 3 months. Oh, sorry. We won this year. 7.9K. 7.9K this year. All right, cool. Any other questions? Irma, I know you said your time is getting short, but if you have any other questions before you drop, I'm happy to answer as many questions as you all have. Do you ever, let's see. Nope, I'm good. Thank you, Irma. Okay, cool. Well, I was happy that you found value in this. Thank you all for the likes and the the follows, the support. Thank you for your questions. All right, because I want everyone to learn as much as they can so you can start growing your money. That's important. Carlos, you said, do you ever do one-on-ones, or how often do you go live? Me and my girl definitely want to learn. So that's a good question. I just began going live on last week, I think it was last week, and then people started to join, and I was getting positive feedback, and like Irma, people liked the way I explained things, so I started to jump up in followers. So I haven't decided if I'm going to do one-on-ones or not, but I'm happy to help however any way I can. Okay, so to answer your question, I'm happy to help any way I can. We can give it a shot, see how it works, and try to come up with a format. But I would ask that you stay patient because I never done a one-on-one as a mentor, but I do try my best to explain things simply, walk you through whether you need visual aids or not. So that's pretty much what I try to do. How often do I go live? I go live for the pre-market prep every day at 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern. And if you can't catch those live sessions, you can always DM me for the live replay once the session is over, and I'll send that to you. I go live with my mentor. I'm a new trader, by the way. I've just been trading consistently for the past 3 months. I've been studying for the past year. All right. So I took a whole year to find the perfect mentor, and I found 2 of them. And if you were on the live session earlier today, you would have been able to watch my mentor's number 2. His name is Jack. He's also a young multi-millionaire trader, as well as Tony. These guys are making a lot of money. They made just $150,000 within the past 2 weeks. That's crazy. But yeah, I go live every Friday to show the breakout and retest strategy live and in action, so people can see them demonstrate that strategy, and as they walk through and describe what they're seeing and why they're choosing to not take a position or choosing to enter a position. So you can catch that. And if you can't catch the live at 8:30 a.m. Central on Friday, or 9:30 a.m. Central on Friday, or 9:30 a.m. Eastern on Friday, DM me and I'll send you the replay. And if you want those every week, just let me know. Hey, I want them every week, and I'll be sure to, when the session ends, send those over to you, so you can watch it at your own pace. And then if there's any concept that you need me to explain to you and your girlfriend, just let me know. You can just shoot me a DM with those questions and say, hey, can you provide me a step-by-step video or some sort? And I'll be happy to do that as well. I'll create that for you. And if there's a video my mentor already created, then I'll refer you to those videos. And if you still have additional questions or follow-up questions, just let me know. If I can't answer it, I will gladly forward those questions over to my mentor to get those questions answered. Let's see. Did you put up any trades today? Yeah, I did. Let's see. Hold on. Let me go up. There was a couple of questions that came in. You should do a mini series focused on 1 or 2 topics at a time. Yeah, I was thinking about that. That's a good idea. I was just thinking about that yesterday. So yeah, I'm going to look into that, Irma. That's a good idea. I appreciate that. Let's see. With person, LOL, and mentor. Yeah. Did you put in any trades today? Yep, I did. And it's crazy, right? So I made, this is how much I made in this was less than 1 minute. Okay. This was less than 1 minute. I did enter that trade. So I took 1 trade today. So notice the time duration. That was 7:24. I got in at 8:35 and 20 seconds, got out in 26 seconds later and made $430. So that's why I'm just trying to let people know, and look how much the contracts were. One contract was $221. One contract is $221. So even if you can't afford to buy multiple contracts, I bought 10. But even if you bought 1, you could have made money today. And then as you begin to grow, you can scale up and make more money. All right. Because the goal is to be able to buy multiple contracts so you can make more money, because you can make a lot of money within a short period of time. As you can see, I made $400. Where can you do that? Where else can you do that? Where else can you make $400 in less than 30 seconds? Or less than 40 seconds. I mean, it's crazy. So, oh, wow. LOL. They're up there for real. Yeah. More viewers to share. Yeah. Thanks for answering my DM questions yesterday. Yeah, I got you. Hey, don't be afraid to ask me any questions. All right. Don't think that there's a question that's too silly or too simple or too dumb. There is no such thing in my book. If you're trying to learn, I'm happy to answer every single question. Don't think you're asking too many questions. I won't get tired of asking or answering your questions because I want you to learn, and I want you to be able to come back, join me as a co-host, and share your experience and say, look, Ace was walking me through and he was patient. He talked me through all of this and helped me understand so I could start growing my money. And now I'm making money, me and my family. I'm able to take care of my loved ones, cover my expenses, pay down my debt, whatever. So yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Follow this guy. Appreciate that, Irma. I appreciate your support, man. I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's see. You ever hear of the Ace Boogie? Yeah. You watched Paid in Full? Did you? So I actually, I was working as a software engineer for T-Mobile, right? For the past 10, I was working as a software engineer for the past 10 years. And so at this point, at the company, there were multiple Anthonys. And so we all had to pick a nickname. And so I chose Ace. So yeah, Paid in Full is one of my favorite films. Mekhi Phifer, I forget my guys. He played on The Wire. But yeah, A Boogie. So let's see. I saw that yesterday you were answering questions and you're patient. Yeah, I just love helping people. I just want to pay it forward. I will never charge for you to now I'm only one person, so I can't, do a one-on-one or answer every person's question simultaneously. So if a bunch of people simultaneously start dropping questions in my DM, then I'll have to, communicate, hey, I'm on my way, you're in the queue, you're up next, and so forth and so on. But it may take me some time because I'm a one-man show right now. But that's why I also share live access with my mentors so everyone can kind of watch those and also learn from that resource. Let's see. Thank you all for the follows. Appreciate that, Bryant. Thank you, Irma, for the love, for the likes. I love y'all. Appreciate that. Appreciate all the support. If you all need this replay, just let me know. DM me and I'll send you the replay once this session is over and as soon as TikTok makes it available for me to share it. All right, let's see if that's it. If you guys don't have any other questions, I did trade today. Like I said, made a quick scalp in 40 seconds, $430. That's $100 every 10 seconds. If you think about it, right? That's $100 every 10 seconds. I made $400 in 40 seconds. Yeah, you have a nice day, Irma. Appreciate you, your questions and you participating. And I'm glad that you found value and was able to get your questions answered. That was cool watching your mentor live. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm thinking about doing it every time, just before you drop. I'm thinking about doing that every time I'm done with trading. So, and we'll see how that works. So I might do it again tomorrow. All right, take it easy. You have a good rest of your day as well. Made more than what I make in a day in 30 seconds. Yeah, it's crazy, man. People find it hard to believe how much money you can make trading these stock options. And then there's the misconception that this is too difficult to learn how to do. And I'm like, it's not. It's not. It's really not. And if you were to ask me, can you become a software engineer? I'm like, heck nah. I mean, it takes a lot. It takes a special mind to be able to sit in front of a computer and code hundreds to thousands of lines of instructions every day. And that's what I was doing for 10 years. All right. But this is not rocket science. This is easy. Anybody can learn it. In fact, I'm actually scheduled to teach my aunties and uncles, and they're in their 60s and 70s. They've been watching what I've been doing, and they're like, man, can you show me? Because that's pretty cool. All right. So, yeah, you could definitely make a lot of money. And that it's not the goal to chase after money, right? The goal is to grow your money consistently over time, so you have something to fall back on. Once you develop this skill, which you can develop fairly quickly, imagine the confidence, right? You don't have to settle for things like payday loans and those outrageous interest rates that they ask you to pay, or those title loans, or going to, jump into some loan with some high interest rate, personal loan with some high interest rate, or spend up your entire credit limit on your credit card if your credit card has a high interest rate. You don't have to settle for those. You can jump into the market any week of the 52 weeks and feel confident that you can grab, a couple of dollars, a couple of $100, or a couple of $1,000, whatever you need for the moment. Hey, for example, how long have you been consistently profitable? Yeah, good question, because I was just about to jump into that. I've been day trading consistently for the past close to 4 months. All right. Like I said, I'm a new day trader. I took a whole year, did my due diligence to find the perfect mentor. Okay. And I found 2 of them. These guys are really great. One, he focuses on the stocks that I like to focus on. The first one I found, he does 100 tickers a day. He goes over 100 tickers a day. But the second one, which is who Irma saw earlier today, it's Tony and then Jack. Tony is the main trader, and then Jack is his number 2. Both of these guys are young. They're in their 20s, 24 and 23, I think, and they're both multimillionaires, been trading for 7 years. I've been watching them. As you can see, my profit here on the screen this year. Like I said, I've only been trading for the past close to 4 months so far, and I've made 7.9K. So yeah, you can see on I journal my trades. So you can see here, hopefully you can see this clearly. I started out doing well, right? Up 1,000. Let me zoom in. Hopefully you can see this clearly. All right. And then there was some drawdown, right? I made some mistakes as I was learning. This is May. So this is that April, May. April, I did well, had a sea of green trades. But May, I still had some things to learn that I hadn't learned yet. And once I learned it, you can see I did have some drawdown, 3.2K. I think I went as high as 3.4. Yep. I was down negative 3.4K, and this was going into June. But then you saw, because my mentors, they're so great, man. They answer every single question. Like when there was a question, and I'm really good at taking notes, and I record all my notes, as you can see here. I have all my notes. I have every single note to help me reference. So I listen, I do my thing. I don't play games. And so now you can see from June to July, I wasn't playing. I know exactly what I'm looking for. I know when to get out. I know when to get in, when to get out, what conditions to look for, and how to make my money and stay consistent. So I don't expect to have any of these anymore, these types of drawdowns. So yeah. Yep. But yeah, you could tap in and see my mentor. I did go live today after I finished making my trade. It was quick little scalp on Tesla within 40 seconds. And I forgot what I was about to say. Yeah, so what I'll do, I was talking about how quickly you can make money. So I don't even spend the money that I make, right? I have a target. So, for example, last week, it was approaching, like Friday was approaching, right? And I was like, you know what? I feel like I just want to eat out for the entire weekend. And I don't want to have any budget, right? I just want to eat what I want to eat. So I was like, okay, I think I need, roughly $300, and I could eat for the, wherever I want to eat for the entire weekend. And that's exactly what I did Friday. So Friday I made $270, and I spent it for the whole weekend. I spent it for the whole week. I didn't spend any of my existing money. The point is I'm like, this is what I want to do. And you could do this something similar, right? Whatever your goals is, like, hey, I'm not going to spend money from my paycheck, but I'm going to go into the market and grab the amount of money that I want to for fun and leisure, or to pay some, debt or expense. So that's the benefit of you will have when you develop this skill, because I now have the confidence that I could jump in at any point and grab a couple of $100. Yeah, Carlos, exactly. As you should. As you should. Exactly. Water Skeeter, I love y'all handles, man. Let's see. How do you consistently trade against the algorithms that are manipulating you? Yeah, you know what? That's a good question. And I see a lot of people have that in mind. A lot of new traders have that in mind too. But your strategy, because it's not a guessing game, if you're like fond of math or anything that's like kind of technical, like math or science or something like that, those are I'm fond of both. But what they teach you is how to look for patterns. Okay, the market, even though it goes up and down, and it may go up or down significantly, they rinse and repeat the patterns. So think about this. Let me simplify this explanation. We know price. This is a continuous auction, and price is only going to go in two directions, up or down. If you think about it, will price just continue to go up? No, never. Because if it does, no one else will be able to invest. And that's not the goal. They want new investors to keep pouring in more money. So price will never just continuously go up, and price will never continuously go down. And the reason for that is because the market is built to continue to go up, right? But not consistently and forever. So it will fluctuate at points and then eventually drop and then go back up again, because that's the default. The default is for price to climb, not to fall. But the reason it falls is to invite new investors, right? So that's pretty much. And so your algorithms, same as that's math, right? These algorithms are just mathematical like instructions, right? An algorithm is just a set of steps that's being executed, right? I've been working as a software engineer for the past 10 years, so I understand that concept, but that's all it is, right? That's all it is. So it's going to come back down and then it's going to climb back up, and you have to pick the strategy that's ideal or that's optimal when those patterns emerge. So for the breakout and retest strategy, all you need is a key level, and then there's other confirmations that you can use to confirm that you're making the right decision. You can't win 100% of your trades. The probability is unlikely. It's just not possible for you to win 100%. You can go on a long win streak, but you won't win for as long as you continue to invest in the stock market or stock options. You won't have 100% win rate. Okay. Did that answer your question? Hopefully I did a good job answering your question, Water Skeeter. If you want me to dive deeper, I can, but hopefully that answered your question. Can you trade with the banks? What do you mean? What do you mean? I'm not sure I understand the question fully. Can you trade with the banks? Let me know if you can elaborate on your question a little bit, Carlos. Yeah, but overall, thank you all for the love. Thank you all for the support, for the likes, for the follows. I appreciate it. By the way, if I forgot to mention this before I drop, I started a giveaway. I just started this week. I posted a video on my page, also talking about it. So I'm doing a giveaway for newbies, for new traders who want to learn how to day trade stock options. I'm not doing futures or forex because I don't know those just yet, but eventually I'll add those to my system as well. But for now, just stock options. And because I want to grant the opportunity, keep granting people the opportunity, those who are interested, this opportunity. So I'm doing a giveaway. There's people who can't afford to jump in. They just don't have the money right now to begin investing in stock options, but they want to. So I decided to offer a giveaway of $300 to $1,000. You only need $100 to start growing your money. So I'm offering a giveaway of $300 up to $1,000. I'm going to fund your brokerage account. Not only am I going to fund your brokerage account, I'm going to give you the money to add to your brokerage account. And then I'm going to provide you with the signals to enter the trade and when to exit the trade. And we're going to walk through what we're doing step by step so you can learn what's happening as we do this, right? As we go on this journey to help you learn how to grow your money. The goal is to grow your money consistently. And once you develop the skill, you're going to be so happy. All right. So that's the drawing ends the third week of August. And then I'll go live to select and announce the winner. And the way I'm going to do that is to assign all of the participants a number, and then I'm going to use during the live session a free online random number generator. All right, so if you can't make that live, it's okay. Just make sure you DM me to let me know that you're interested in participating. What do you DM me? All you have to do is say, hey, I'm interested in participating in the drawing, okay? And then I'll send you some additional details. And I'm still working out some other details that I need to work out, but I'll hopefully be able to work those out before we approach the actual drawing date. So I'll go live 1 week after the third week of August, okay? That following Friday is when I'll go live and select and announce the winner. All right, so how do you join the raffle, Carlos? Yeah, so just DM me and say, hey, I'm interested in participating in the drawing. So that'll be nice. You and your girlfriend can, was that you that said you and your girlfriend was doing it? Hopefully I'm not mixing you guys up. But yeah, if that's you and your girlfriend could both have 2 separate accounts. And then I could put, if you're the winners, obviously, I could put 300 in yours, 300 in hers, and then you'll listen out for my signals. I'll get you in the trade, and then we'll exit the trade. So you're not even risking your own money. But this is how confident I am. You can tell, you can really make money, and I want people to learn this skill so they have the same confidence that I have. So yeah, that's all you have to do is DM me. What's your next Tesla stock target? So I'll go over that in the pre-market prep tomorrow. So you can catch that at 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern. If you can't catch the live replay, BS TikTok, I love the handle, by the way. If you can't catch the live replay, just DM me. And as soon as the session is over, I'll go ahead and forward you the video, the replay. All right. And then you can watch it at your leisure, learn at your own pace. And then also you can ask me any follow-up questions. Just DM me your follow-up questions and I'll be happy to answer those as well. Water Skeeter asked, let's see, but institutions use higher, what is HFT? I'm not sure what that is. Algorithms to front run and manipulate markets by luring the masses to lose. Yeah, so that's the thing that I was talking about. I also talked about this in the replay in the live session yesterday too. When you're looking at these, what you begin to learn is the patterns. Though what you're saying is true, but the patterns themselves don't change, right? It's just a repeat of the same thing. In other words, you might have heard the phrase, there's nothing new under the sun, right? So these patterns just continuously repeat themselves. And the reason why there's many traders who lose a lot of money is because if I were to switch, let me switch views so I can show you guys this. So you have to get really good at identifying these patterns in the market. And this is a simple thing that I'm sharing with folks, how to do that, right? And so yeah, they will, just as you said, they will lure you in. That's how the market works. So people might enter these trades at these points, as you can see. But this is not when you want to enter in these points. These are not the A+. There's A+, A-, A, B+, B- setups, right? And so what does that mean? Well, there's higher probability entries and then there's lower probability entries. So again, the math doesn't change. You're looking for higher probability, something that's along the lines of 80, 90% probability that you're going to make money. And you'll know that from your journaling, right? If you're consistently making good entries, earning a profit, gradually growing your money like I am, you'll know that you're on the right path. If you're constantly losing, then there's something you need to adjust. But the patterns themselves will continuously repeat themselves, and people are just making the incorrect entries and they're misjudging when to get in, or they got in, they made the correct entry, but they held for too long. So they don't know when to exit. Many people may not have had a predetermined target in mind. Mine is only 3 to 7%. I'm averaging $300 to $400 a day. Okay. And I'm trading cheaper contracts. I could trade $50,000 positions if I wanted $10,000, $30,000 positions, but I'm demonstrating how you only need a little bit of money to make money. Okay, because then people would argue, oh, well, you're using $50,000. If I had $50,000 too, I'd be making money. Well, yeah, you can make a lot more if you got more money, but I'm showing people if you had a couple of $100, just $100, you can still make significant money. So yeah, you're right. You're definitely right. Institutions, they have these algorithms, and they can manipulate the market because they are the movers. They move the market. They have that much money. So the market doesn't care about our little entries. Even if I'm dropping 50,000, that's not going to move the market. You're not going to see the candles form or move up aggressively or down aggressively with my $50,000 entry. It doesn't care, but it moves based on the billions and hundreds of millions that these larger institutions dump into the market. So yeah, but once you get I could just show you the proof just based on my entries, as I showed you, that you can see here in April when I began, toward the end of April, I was learning, and I was making money. There was some drawdown, but I was still making money. But as I was learning how to make the right entries and when to exit, I was holding positions too long. This is what I was doing incorrectly during the month of May. And so once I learned how to better gauge, how to set set predetermined goals as far as when I'm looking to get out and what I was averaging for my wins, then it just became rinse and repeat. And from there, June and July, now you can see that I have it. I have the concept down packed. I know it. I know it now. I understand it. So I know exactly what I'm looking for. And that's why I'm currently up 7.9K since June, going into June, because I was down negative 3.4K. So not only did I come back from the negative 3.4K, I'm now up almost 8K within 2 months. So that's 4K a month, right? If we average that out per month, that's 4K a month. So, and just stay tuned. If you guys don't believe me, listen, I understand being skeptical. You should have a healthy degree of skepticism in mind. This is what helps us become aware and ask all the necessary questions to make sure we're getting, the information that we need and, to make a more informed decision. So yeah, you should remain skeptical, but continue to watch me for this entire year. Just follow along, because I'm showing you all the ups, the downs, the wins, the losses, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm taking people behind the veil of day trading so you can see the real. And the real is you can make money with just $100. Okay. The goal is to make money consistently, and you can do that. Let's see. Any other questions? How do you join I answered that one. Tesla going. Bet, say less. What time is the best place to what time is best to place trades? The morning. Good question, Carlos. The morning. Because that's when volatility is at the highest, and with a little bit of volume, you can make a lot of money. There could be some significant moves that happen in the morning, right at the open. Okay. That's what happened with me with Tesla. Remember, I showed you guys the time. The market opened for me at 8:30 a.m. I got in at 8:35 in 20 seconds, and I was done at 26 Excuse me, I'm stumbling over my words. I was done in 26 seconds. 26 seconds, $430. $430. Okay. 26 seconds. That's $200 every 10 seconds, right? So where can you do that, man? I'm making more money in shorter time than I was as a software engineer. I was earning a 6-figure salary as a software engineer. Tesla going lower than 300 today. It might. Let me see where it's at right now. Yeah, it might. But don't, hey, listen, keep this in mind too. Tesla might snap on you. Okay, so at 1:30, this is let's say anywhere between 11:30 to 1:30. This is when they call it the power hour. This is when these buyers from that usually trade the other markets. This is when they jump back into the New York exchange, and then you might see a significant spike that pushes the price back up, or you can see continuation toward the downside. Let's see. You need millions to move, if not billions. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Do you use a specific strategy? Yeah, it's called the breakout and retest strategy. And if you want, I could show you. If you DM me, Carlos, DM me, and I'll give you the information where you could go watch the video that my mentors made. Okay. I can't say the names because TikTok's live AI bot will flag me and then it'll restrict me or kick me off the live. It did it earlier this morning. And so I can't even say the name of the place where you can go, but I can in the DM. So just let me know if you want that and I'll send that over to you. What's up, London? Appreciate everyone's love. Appreciate the likes. Appreciate the follows. Glad that you all are finding value in this content. So if you continue to find value, feel free to like, subscribe, and follow for more on my channel. All I do is talk about finance. All right, the art of finance. We answer 3 questions: how to get money, what to do with it when you get it, and how to grow and protect it. All right. So if you're interested in that, feel free to follow, but you don't have to follow me if all you want to do is learn about trading. Okay. I will be dropping trading videos, but for the majority, it's all about finance. So you get tips, tricks, and all these other different things that's related to finance. So don't follow if you don't, because I don't want you to feel like you're getting spammed from my channel about finance. If that's not what you're interested in, you could just feel free to continue to DM me any questions that you may have, and I will answer them. So I will not require that you follow me just for me to answer your question, nor will I ask you to subscribe. Everything I offer is free. Every community is free. I do not gatekeep. So whatever you need, I'm happy to provide if I have it. You can't say, nope, you can't say it. Nope, that's crazy. Exactly. I got flagged a couple of times already. Every time I go live, they flag me about finance. They flag me because they're like, oh, that's a potential scam, something like that. And I'm like, what did I say exactly? They never tell you what you said exactly, but then you appeal and they're like, oh, we're sorry. We reviewed your content and it's fine. And then they remove the restriction. So yeah, it's crazy. They keep flagging me. So I have to say periodically, even on my live, let me do that now. I am not a financial advisor. I do not offer financial advice. I'm simply sharing my experience that I have over 46 years. All right. I'm 46 years of age. I'm 46 large. Okay. I know I'm really good at managing my money, really good at growing it. It was just something I had a knack for it at a young age. So I've just been good at it. Let's see. You should put your channels in your bio. Yeah, I didn't have enough room. So I just figured I'd just provide the context of what I'm discussing, I want to do that, but I think they'll let me add, you know what? Let me double check, because you know what? They may have granted me the opportunity to add links separate from the bio, but let me double check that, Carlos. I appreciate that. Yeah, let me double check that today. I'll do that today. Appreciate the likes. Cool Runner B. I love the handles, man. I love the handles. Cool Runner B. I love that. Let's see. Any other questions? If not, I'll go ahead and end the live. Appreciate the likes, everyone. Let's see. Oh, damn, you sound like you're in your 20s. Nah. 46 large, man. 46 large. 46 large. Yeah. Let's see. When will you be on again? So I go live in the mornings every day, Monday through Friday, to do what I describe as the pre-market prep before the market opens. So that's 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern. And if you can't catch that live, remember, feel free to DM me and I will send you the video, the replay, when the session is over. And then feel free to tap in and join me on Fridays to watch my mentor trade the simple breakout and retest strategy live and in action. So you can see that I provide access through my live. I paid $3,500 to join his mentorship in April, and you can see how I've been benefiting from that mentorship. And I've learned a lot. These guys are really good. They're in their 20s, already multimillionaires. My mentor, his name is Tony. He already made $150,000 within the past 2 weeks. I mean, he's just, man, this guy's phenomenal. But he uses simple language to explain these concepts, so anyone can follow and learn if you're interested. All right. So thank you all for all the questions. I love it. Appreciate the likes. 3.2K. Wow. Crazy. I didn't even see that. 3.2K. I'm glad you all are finding value in this, in my content. So if you're finding value, continue to tap in, like, subscribe, follow for more. And I'm going to keep providing value. Let me know if you have any suggestions. Feel free to DM me or, drop them in the live chat whenever whenever I'm on and you're on with me. Drop that feedback, drop the suggestions, because I want to improve your overall experience. All right. So with that said, I'm going to end this live. If there's any further questions, I'll stand by for like 60 seconds and see if there's any further questions. I appreciate all of you. Continue to tap in if you need more insight. All right. Let's see. I'll give it 60 more seconds. No, have a good day. Thank you for the knowledge. No problem, Carlos. No problem. No problem. You all have a good day. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end this live. Feel free to tap in, lock in with me for future live sessions. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you can catch up with me tomorrow during the pre-market prep. If not, I will also do a recap sometime later that day. And then also look out for me on Fridays. All right, have a good one. It's your man Ace. I'm out. Dropping the mic right here. Later.